We are going to go ahead and cue our next presenter. Jeff, before I butcher your last name, is it Mikels or Mikels?
Mikels.
Mikels. Okay, thank you so much. I didn't want to mess that up right off the get-go. I see your audio and video is looking great.
Yeah, are we ready to go?
Yeah, we're going to go ahead and cue Jeff Mikels, software developer for ProPresenter, demonstrating ProPresenter with NewBlue. Take it away.
Well, actually, we're not quite ready. We got 4, 3. Okay, now we're ready to go. Hi, my name is Jeff Mikels. I've been a pastor for the last 22 years, and I'm also a computer programmer. And for the past few years, I've been in communication with the folks over at NewBlue, who reached out to me and asked me to write a connection between their titler software and ProPresenter. Now, they're experts in the world of live video graphics, but they wanted to find a way to serve churches better. And so I'm really excited to show you today what we've developed. But before I get into all that, let me first talk about the problem. Of course, everybody knows back in 2020, when churches went remote, the popularity of church live streams finally went through the roof. But most of the churches I knew were struggling to get the technology working for them. So I was a pastor in Lafayette, Indiana, and had built a relationship with a bunch of different churches and was working, many, many hours just trying to get them connected to the whole live stream world. I tried to teach them how to get the cameras set up right, how to get the computers set up right. And then I spent hours counseling with my parents out in California to help them get a live stream set up. It was so hard helping these friends of mine understand the cameras and sound and video encoding that I didn't even have time to talk with them about camera angles and video compression, let alone graphics. But now we're a few years down the road. And even though a lot of churches have better cameras and better switching devices, I think the live stream game for most churches is still pretty lackluster. But you know what? I'm a person who still believes in excellence. Churches used to build elaborate structures to represent the glory of God. And even though I'm one of the more contemporary guys who doesn't believe that an elaborate building is required for worship, I still admire the passion for artistic beauty and excellence in the work of worship. And that's why I think churches should put a little bit more energy into making their video productions look more professional. And if you're on this Zoom chat, then you care about that stuff too. But let me show you some of the problems that I think we should be trying to solve. This first church that I'm showing you is one of the largest churches in my hometown. And this is an actual clip from one of their recent live streams. Now, they've been live streaming for the entirety of the time since the pandemic, maybe even before then. But basically, all they're doing is they take a video switcher and they put the graphics from the main auditorium at 50% opacity right over top. Now, I'm sure it's accomplishing the goal that they have, which is to get both the lyrics and the presence of the people on stage at the same time. That's our big problem with live streaming. Church is a very present experience. We want people to be experiencing each other's presence. And so we need video to help us have that sense. But church is also a very meaningful experience. And so we want to have text available to people. And how do you get both at the same time is a challenge for many churches. Now, this is another church from my hometown that does a much better job, but what they're doing is they're simply putting the television on the stage next to the pastor. This has become very popular among churches with doing live streams. You just put a TV on stage, and then you no longer have to worry about graphics. You just need to have a camera operator get both the TV and the speaker in the same frame, and you've covered your graphical needs. The problem is that doesn't work well for every church. For example, my parents' church, they have a stage design that wouldn't look good with a television right on the middle of it. And it's hard for them to get a picture of the congregation or the worship team and the screen in the room all in the same frame. And so what they did is they spent like $2,400 to buy a hardware switcher so they could do the picture-in-picture thing. Now, they're doing their best, but they'd use the same picture-in-picture when my dad is teaching. So his lower third graphic is just a picture-in-picture of the main auditorium screen. I love what they're doing. I think they're doing a good job with regard to their church, but I've been trying to get them to up their live stream game for a while. And it's hard because to do something that is simple and professional takes a lot of effort, as most of you already know. Now, my church in Lafayette, this is the way we did our graphics for our lyrics. Just one little bit of text at the bottom in a nice contrasting color and font so that it could be read. But then when I was teaching, I wanted something that would be a little bit more vibrant. And so we created this fade-in graphic. And I tell you, it took us years of effort just to get that. It took us years of programming. So we went through iterations. We started with trying to get it all in vmix and doing things that way. And we built titles in vmix and tried to have different tools automate those things for us, because we didn't have an operator at both the ProPresenter computer and vmix at the time. And then we tried to use ProPresenter's lower thirds, and that's eventually what we settled on for this. But the best we could do is just a fade-in build. Now, the real situation is that I want something as easy as possible so that my parents' church can use it. They don't have years of programming experience to put into getting something on the screen that works really well. They're not going to invest in a whole bunch of different software programs to get something working well. They're still using Mac Keynote to get the video display in the auditorium working. And so what we've come up with NewBlue is a tool that allows us to do something that I think is going to really bless you. This is how it works. Your volunteer operates ProPresenter, and we make pretty graphics automatically. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Let me show you how it works. First of all, what I want to do is I want to share with you my screen. This is my ProPresenter, and if you look at it, everything that I have done so far in this little video has been generated from ProPresenter. I can show you the different slides here. And if I click on that, you'll see the lower third right here is showing in my live video camera. So I've got my PTZOptics 12X camera right over here. And I've got the NDI feed running into OBS, which incidentally, if my video and audio are out of sync, blame OBS and the integration. It's not sending audio to Zoom. I have to send that directly from the microphone. But nonetheless, I'm using the lowest quality software I can possibly use to show you the greatest thing that you can come up with. You don't need to have a fancy video switcher. You don't need to have a hardware switcher. You can do this even with OBS. And so the graphics coming from ProPresenter and the graphics coming from Titler are going over NDI, and that's how you get this lower third. When I switched ProPresenter to the next slide, you see now I've got a picture-in-picture window. You can even play videos directly from ProPresenter, and they show up in that graphic on the screen. And so now it's pretty easy to get these things connected. I want to show you how we do it. This is now the interface of Titler Live. Titler Live is a program that is focused on video graphics. And if you're unfamiliar with video switchers and software, I'll quickly explain. The top left-hand corner over here is called the preview. That shows what can be on the screen or in the display at any point in time. And the top right is what we call the program. That shows what is actually going out over the video. Now, nothing is going to my OBS feed right now, and that's why program is black. You'll also notice here in our controller interface that I have already connected it up to ProPresenter. Now we're going to have some tutorials available to you to teach you how to connect Titler to ProPresenter, but I don't have enough time today to go through all of those things. So what I want to do is just show you that what I've got here in Titler perfectly synchronizes with ProPresenter. In fact, if I click on this first graphic again, you will see it shows up right down in the lower third of my live feed. It also shows up in the program feed of Titler. And that's because I'm controlling ProPresenter from Titler, and I'm controlling Titler from ProPresenter. You can have an operator sitting at either one, and it will work just fine. Now, in most cases, we think your operator is going to be sitting at the ProPresenter computer, but I did want to just point this one out. Notice that my graphics from ProPresenter are using Comic Sans, but the graphics that actually show up on the screen look good. And I did that just to illustrate we are getting the data from ProPresenter, and you can make the graphics going to your live stream different from the graphics going into the room however you want, because we're just getting the data from ProPresenter and then we're putting it out into the live stream graphics in a way that really works. Let me show you some more advanced features. After the introductory presentation that I just went through with you, I have a song. This is a song our church did during the Christmas season called Here Comes Heaven. And I want to link the slides from ProPresenter to activities in Titler, to graphics that show up on the screen. And the way to do that is to right-click on any one of these slides and choose Enter Config Mode. Or if you're familiar with how ProPresenter works, you can hold down one of the control keys or the command key if you're on a Mac and select, and instantly you'll enter into what we call our configuration mode. Now, I want to select all the slides in this particular song. So I'm going to right-click any one of the slides and choose Select All. Now they're all selected. In ProPresenter, you really only have the idea of a slide with a foreground and a background. But we know that churches use ProPresenter to do specific things with their slides. And in this case, we're using these slides to be lyrics on the screen. And so we've created the Titler controller in such a way that you can specify what type of slide you are using. In this case, this is a lyric slide, and so I'm going to choose lyrics. Once I've done that, now Titler knows how to interpret the text from ProPresenter. I'm also going to choose a lyric graphic, but I don't want it to take up the whole screen. I'm going to use one of our preset templates called lower third lyrics. And now you will see all of the little slides in the Titler interface have a check mark next to them, letting us know they have a behavior associated with them. And we have a preview graphic of what the lower third is going to look like. I'm going to exit out of configuration mode and put one of these slides on the screen so that you can see what actually happens now. I can click on any one of these slides, and now we get a lower third graphic that animates in clearly and uses just the lyrics from that slide. If I tab over to ProPresenter, you can see that the same thing has happened in ProPresenter. The same slide has been selected and Titler was controlling it. But if I come back to ProPresenter and I select any one of these slides, you will see the lower third graphic changes because ProPresenter is controlling Titler and the other way around. So we know that lyrics are not the only thing you want to have on the screen. We also have made it so that it will automatically play lyrics and graphics out if you select a blank slide. So let's choose this first slide here that has no text on it, and the graphics have just disappeared. We also know that your pastor might have a wide variety of slides where each slide needs to be displayed in a different way. And so I've put in here one of my personal sermons that I preached, the slide deck that we used for that sermon. And so let me walk you through how to set up a more complicated slide deck, a more complicated presentation. Let's enter config mode once again. And now I'm going to select all of the slides. Let's choose, I'm going to select all of the slides. And these slides, I want to give a default type. Now we've got a wide variety of different slide types that you can select from, but for this case, I'm going to choose title only. What title only does is it puts all of the text from ProPresenter in a nice big font for you. And I'm going to choose the template that goes along with title. But actually, I don't want it to take up the whole screen. I want that default to be a lower third title. So I'm choosing lower third title for that. Once again, you see the check marks next to each slide that has a behavior associated with it. And you also see the lower third graphic is previewed down there. Now, I could get out of the configuration mode and show you exactly what I've done so far, but let's keep going. You'll notice that I also have slides that look different. For example, this slide is what I used to show a Bible passage on the screen. If I come back over to ProPresenter here and I scroll down to that Bible passage, you'll see the way I've got it set up is that the Bible passage shows up on the screen, nice text, white text with a reference in the bottom. And I've also, in ProPresenter, labeled all of these slides with the Bible slide label. If you're not familiar how ProPresenter does labels, you click on any slide, right-click on any slide, choose labels, and you can put a label in it. But since I've put all of them with the Bible slide label, I can come back over to Titler and select all the Bible slides at once. Right-click on one of these slides, and I'm going to select all the Bible slides all at once. Now that I've selected all the Bible slides, I am going to give them a slide type of Bible. And once again, I want them to be in the lower third. So I'm going to choose lower third scripture for the template. Now, what that's going to do is that's going to automatically figure out what the Bible reference is from each slide, and it will put that Bible reference into a separate part of our template so that it animates differently from the rest. Finally, there's one last slide here that is different from all the rest of them. This slide has kind of a bullet point feel to it. There's a title at the top, and then there are bullet points under it. And so I'm going to select bullet point list with title. And I'm going to do something special with this. I'm going to make that one a picture-in-picture so that you get my video and the bullet point list at the same time. All right. Now I've just configured an entire slide deck for the sermon. Let me click through them all so you can see what actually shows up on the screen. When I click the first one, the graphic disappears because there is no text. You look on my screen down here that I'm live streaming, there's no text, and so the graphic disappears. When I click on the first slide that has text, whether I click on it in Titler or from ProPresenter, you'll see the Bible passage shows up in the lower third. If I click to the next slide, there's nothing on it, so the graphic disappears. If I go to the next slide, this is the one with the bullet point list. Pay attention. You'll see the title at the top, the bullet points underneath it, and still we have the live video feed of the person doing the teaching. When we come to the next slide, it disappears, and we're back at the live feed only. And now let me show you one of the Bible passages that we did. This Bible passage here has an interesting feature because I have two slides where they have the same Bible reference, but different Bible text. See, I had a long passage of text and I wanted to split it over multiple slides. Let me show you what it looks like in ProPresenter. In ProPresenter, we've got these two slides next to each other, and they have the same reference, but they have different text on them. If I click on this one, you'll notice the lower third graphic has appeared right underneath my face. But watch what happens when I click on the next one. You'll see the white text animate, but the orange text doesn't. And that's because we are smart enough to know that the Bible passage hasn't changed, even though the text has. The reference has stayed the same, and so we don't bother animating that. And finally, again, if I click on one of the blank slides, the graphic goes away for the live stream. The whole point of this is to make it so that you can have one volunteer who does the entire operation from ProPresenter, and the graphics will just appear on your live stream. They will just show up. Once you configure Titler to connect and listen to ProPresenter, everything else you do can be done in ProPresenter, and Titler will simply handle your live feed. And so I'm going to come all the way back up to here, put my name back on the screen, and make that full screen once again so that you have my name and my email address. If you have any questions for me, you can reach out to me at jeffmichels@gmail.com, or you can put a question right now in the question box, or you can hang out for our breakout session in just a little bit. In fact, let me take a look at what we've got going on here in the questions. And I don't see anything just yet. Let's go all the way to the bottom. And I don't see any questions necessarily for me. If there are some that I missed in there, Tess, I'd love to have you share them with me.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, excellent. That was a wonderful presentation.
Thanks.
You had a lot prepared there with the graphics and everything.
It was quite easy to do. I mean, once we got all the connections set up originally over the last couple of months, we've now made it pretty easy for just about anyone to do that stuff.
Yeah. There are some questions, but there's so many different locations to find them. So let me translate some of them for you before you
Thanks.
move into the breakout room. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
Okay. The first one from Peter was, what is the program that we're looking at here? We were looking at NewBlueFX, and we're also looking at ProPresenter. I guess.
Yeah, it's just NewBlue. FX is the website, newbluefx.com, but we have a lot of different effects tools, and that's why the website has that. So NewBlue is the company name. The program that I was showing you is Titler Live. We just released version 5.5 yesterday, and that's the one that comes with the ProPresenter integration. Now, earlier it was promised that we'd have easy worship integration, and that is coming up very soon. We can release that. I'm not exactly sure what the release date is for that. It's almost entirely working, but it's got a couple things that we're working on still. So easy worship will be available in just a short period of time. ProPresenter is available right now. So ProPresenter is the one piece of software I was showing you.
Okay. Goodness, Toter's going to get at me again. I always add that FX on there. I apologize, NewBlue team. Robert's asking, can we mix and match size? Meaning, can we have lower thirds on the stream and full screen on ProPresenter?
Oh, yes. Everything was full screen on ProPresenter. When I was showing it, this is, let me go back to my live stream thing. In ProPresenter, you see that is the actual graphic that is going live. Or I'll click on this NewBlueFX one. And if you look at my window, where I'm talking, the lower left-hand corner, you can see the live stream graphics are picture in picture. But what goes to the congregation is coming directly from ProPresenter, and this is the congregational feed. So yes, they are different graphics that go to the different locations.
Okay, a lot of integration questions. One is, will it work with Faith Life Proclaim? Another is vmix.
So first of all, Faith Life Proclaim, we haven't yet done that. Easy Worship is next on the list. And then we've got the other ones we're interested in, whether that's Media Shout or Faith Life. We'd like to do integrations with others, but we don't have them available yet. The second thing is, as a matter of fact, this will work with vmix. So I'm using OBS. And OBS is receiving my PTZOptics camera feed over NDI, and it's also receiving the titler output over NDI, and it's mixing the two of them. vmix can do the same. vmix is even better at NDI, and you won't have the weird audio lag that I'm having here because you'll be able to configure it a little bit more precisely. But the video feed and the graphics down below are just coming over NDI, and so you could run it through vmix too. In fact, Titler has excellent integration with vmix. We've had a long partnership with vmix, and so that works in many respects very smoothly.
Okay.